Hi, I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and today I'm here with a very spectacular Santa Cruz OM Grand guitar. This is a very special OM Grand built with really spectacular Brazilian rosewood back and sides. I will talk more about that in a moment. It has a European spruce top, just really gorgeous materials all around. Some more Brazilian rosewood on the bridge, the fingerboard, the peghead overlay. So if you like Brazilian rosewood, this is your kind of guitar. Now, the OM Grand is a very cool guitar that Santa Cruz introduced about a decade or so ago, essentially a slightly enlarged version of a traditional OM. Some other manufacturers call this an M style or quadruple O style. Similar idea, of course, done in the Santa Cruz way, and as such, it has that typical kind of more traditional Santa Cruz OM voice. Some people might wonder how this compares to the Santa Cruz F, which is similar in size but very different in character, more of a modern sounding guitar, whereas this to me has a little bit more of that vintage vibe that you get from an OM. This particular guitar, we sort of snuck up here into the Peghead studio before it was being shipped to the Music Loft in Wilmington, North Carolina. We appreciate them letting us check it out for a bit before it heads over there. And as I mentioned, it's just built from super spectacular materials. This rosewood on this guitar is probably 350 to 600 years old, is what Santa Cruz is estimating. It's a kind of wood that was cut close to the stump of the tree, and as such, it's really the old growth kind of stuff that you just don't see very much on contemporary guitars. It's primo stuff. It's what Santa Cruz calls their Tier 1 Brazilian rosewood, and it has that really dark coloring, some beautiful figuring in the lower bout of the back, really very cool, offset with just a thin strip to really let the wood itself shine on this really fantastic example of the Brazilian rosewood. There's more Brazilian rosewood, even the binding of the guitar on the back and sides and the top, which is just different enough in color to really offset the color of the main woods for the back and sides on there. Very beautiful. The fingerboard and the bridge are also Brazilian rosewood, a little bit lighter in color, but just really gorgeous, beautiful grain patterns in there. The peghead overlay as well, and it's an unbound peghead, and once again that really kind of shows off the material that's being used. Now, if you've watched my demos over the years, you know that I personally tend to like fairly plainly appointed guitars. So this really is a guitar after my own heart, where it's really just superb materials and a somewhat restrained appearance in terms of the appointments of the guitar. We have Santa Cruz small 2mm dots for position markers in the face of the fingerboard. Of course, there are also position markers in the side. I should say that, yes, there is Brazilian rosewood binding on the Brazilian rosewood fingerboard on this guitar. So more of that. We have, you guessed it, a Brazilian rosewood rosette on this guitar, a traditional OM small teardrop pickguard. And we have sort of a multi-layer purfling on the guitar, which is something that Santa Cruz calls the Purfle Combo top border, and it's really quite gorgeous on this. Again, somewhat understated, but executed just beautifully on this. Some other details about the guitar: ebony bridge pins, of course. It has the slightly backwards leaning saddle that is found on, I think, all Santa Cruzes these days. I'm not quite sure when they started doing that, but it's a feature that's been part of Santa Cruz for many years now, and Santa Cruz feels that this improves the intonation of the guitars. especially if you're adjusting the height of the saddle through the edge of the guitar. It just happens to fully intonate perfectly regardless of the saddle height. It also, if you're installing a pickup on these guitars, there's a slightly different type of a response with the pickup that tends to work really well with a slightly back-leaning saddle. So a very cool Santa Cruz feature. I mentioned the guitar has a European spruce top, and again, this is old growth wood, spectacular looking top, some beautiful cross grain in there, beautifully evenly colored, and tightly grained. And whether you're looking at the top or the back and sides, this is really a testament to the type of materials that Santa Cruz has access to. In some cases, it's wood that Richard Hoover has had in storage for a long time, and it's not the kind of wood that you just go and order for your guitar company. This is the kind of stuff that you have to have the right relationships with wood vendors for to have access to, and this guitar is a great example of the kind of stuff that Santa Cruz can offer. The guitar has the standard Santa Cruz neck that is found on, I think, both the OMs and the OM Grand. It's got a 1 3/4 inch nut width. The string spacing at the saddle is 2 3/16, so very comfortable for playing fingerstyle, as I was doing in the intro to this. I'm currently in DADGAD tuning on this. And we have Waverly tuning machines, gold Waverly tuning machines. And of course, the craftsmanship and the fit and finish and everything is just perfect on this instrument, as we've come to expect with Santa Cruz. Now, OM guitars are known for being some of the more versatile steel string flat tops out there, and the OM Grand really sort of gives you a little bit more of everything. It has a little bit more volume, perhaps a little bit more bass, but it doesn't take away from the great balance and response that you get from a typical OM. So I've had a chance to play a few of these over the years. We actually have a demo of a great 12-string version of an OM Grand here on Peghead Nation, but I've always liked these guitars. And of course, they also work wonderfully with a flat pick. Lovely balance, great punch on this. And one thing I'm noticing with this guitar in particular is the sustain of the instrument. It just keeps going and going and going, whether I'm strumming chords or single note lines. Just really amazing how long that note rings out, how rich the guitar is in overtones, and it has that beautiful shimmer. And those are, of course, all qualities that people hope for with a Brazilian rosewood guitar. That's not to say that there aren't some wonderful alternatives to Brazilian rosewood these days that people are using, including Santa Cruz. But when you do play a great Brazilian rosewood guitar, you do kind of understand where that perception comes from, because it is real. I mean, a guitar like this really does demonstrate that. A lot of fun to play. Now, this instrument, of course, resides at the upper end of the Santa Cruz pricing spectrum, but it is important to remember that you can get OM Grands with a lot of different types of materials, and the inherent sort of DNA and tonality of the guitar will be available in OM Grands that are quite a bit more affordable than this particular instrument. So I think I'll go out the way I've gone out with some of my other recent Santa Cruz guitar demos, and that is to play a tune by Santa Cruz signature artist Eric Sky. Eric's a good friend of mine, and I had a lot of fun to arrange his tune, The Lock Tender's Reel, in a different tuning than he plays it in. I do it in CGD GCD, also known as Orkney tuning, Capo 2, and having a lot of fun playing that tune. And again, big thanks to the Music Loft in North Carolina for letting us sort of intercept the guitar before it heads their way. And definitely check out these OM Grands in their various configurations. If you're into OM style guitars and want a little bit more power, they're great instruments for different playing styles, including fingerstyle. And come visit us here for more of our gear demos on Peghead Nation. And if you're watching this on YouTube, consider subscribing to our channel. We have lots more gear demos coming, and check out Peghead Nation for all the lessons that we have as well. So I'll go out with the Lock Tenders reel. My name is Teja Gerken.